Welcome to Comically Comics, your one-stop listen to all things comics. We're talking books, movies, TV shows, video games, and more. I must forewarn you, though, we are a spoiler cast, and what that means is we consider all properties, past, future, and present, to be valid, and we will spoil the hell out of them. I'm your host, Michael, along with my two co-hosts, Richard and Jeremy, and with all that being said, let's get started. All right, it is July 21st, and we are here with a Spider-Man. Is this our first Spider-Man story review?
It is.
It is it really?
Really?
We've been doing this for almost 150 episodes. Hot damn. That's like almost 3 years too, by the way.
I've tried to keep him protected from you.
You've let your guard down now, sir.
Yes.
You recommended, Richard, that we sit there and we do Spider Island, the story from Spider-Man. This crossed over several other titles, but we're mainly just focusing on the Amazing Spider-Man issues, consisting of issues 666 through 673.
Correct.
This was written by Dan Slott, art by Humberto Ramos. And, Wilmings. Jeremy, what did you think of the Spider-Man story?
Honestly, I'm pleasantly whelmed. Yeah, on the higher end. I'm not quite overwhelmed, but definitely like close to it. I enjoyed the story and seeing it, like just the little tidbits of the Spider-Man game that we just played, like the anti-venom and that kind of thing. Like that was neat seeing, and that I actually knew that now. I was like, well, that's kind of cool seeing it used in different ways, kind of. And it's good to know Madam Web is still annoying, even in the comics.
Yes.
But yeah, I enjoyed. I liked the artwork. I thought it wasn't distracting or confusing, really.
The fuck you say?
I mean, like there were things that were off, but I mean, like there were. I guess like I think of crud. Can't think of the name of the one that we read a few months ago. It was an older one, very very wordy comic.
Snowpiercer.
No, not that one.
Transperce neige.
But yeah, so in the scale, I like Twig's artwork better than this one.
Yeah,
it was very more pleasing. But yeah, it's still. I mean, it wasn't anything that was crazy out there to me. It was kind of, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it all. Like I said, overall I was pleasantly whelmed with it.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
I am honestly shocked by that.
First off, Jeremy, this is also the second iteration of Madam Web, so it's not even it's a whole another person as well.
Yeah, I gathered that. So.
It's kind of the version though from the movie. Like it's not in name, but it's kind of that version because it's like a younger version. It's not like the old decrepit Madam Web in that movie. But yeah,
okay.
Regardless, it's still, I fucking hate Madam Web. Anyway, we'll get into it when we talk about this.
Did you go see Madam Web and be able to compare?
No, but like, good Lord, of all the people talking about it when it first came out, I might as well have seen it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jeremy, is this the first time you've read Spider-Man?
Yes. If we haven't read it here, I haven't read it anywhere else.
At least he's honest.
Okay, then. Well, should I go or or you want to go, Richard?
I'll go.
Okay.
Because I won't be as harsh as I think you will be. I think I'm whelmed to pleasantly whelmed. And it's not, I like this event. I think it's a fun story. It's got some issues by all means. I got to be honest with you, Jeremy. I fucking hate this art. I hate Humberto Ramos's art. There'll be parts in these issues that I'll point out that Mary Jane in particular looks fucking weird. And anyway, I like his JJ. I like his I was going to say Professor Reed, but I like his oh my God, Mr. Fantastic. I was like, what's his name? Reed Richards. I like that. I think he captures really cool, like stretchy things and animated moments, especially when Jameson's like losing his fucking mind. But for the most part, yeah, I'm just whelmed to pleasantly whelmed. I really, I told Michael about this off podcast last week, but I could see them making this one of the like new Spider-Man movies. Now, don't turn everybody into actual spiders, but like
Yeah.
the core concept of like everybody in Manhattan gets spider powers, and then like Pete has to figure out a way to like cure everybody and deal with that. And also showing the like juxtaposition of what makes Pete Pete. He's had those powers, he knows how to properly use them, and like he's all about responsibility, whereas everyone else is doing nefarious things with them. Not everybody, but a good majority is. And anyway, yeah, so pleasantly whelmed, or whelmed to pleasantly whelmed.
Nice. I am on the stance of meh. I didn't hate it. It wasn't something I hate. Was it something I'd necessarily ever want to read again? No, absolutely not. I've read it once. I'm done. I still don't get it. I still don't get the appeal for Spider-Man, but that's just because he's not my guy. So, and that's fine. But yeah, the story was to me it's okay. I mean, I didn't think it necessarily had any big plot holes or anything like that. There wasn't nothing story wise that was sticking out like sore thumb that I was like, why?
There's one that I can think of, but we'll get to it
Okay.
when we get to it.
The artwork is I like it. Sometimes I like Humberto. Other times I'm like, the fuck are you doing, man? and like I get liking JJ because he makes a very good animated face for JJ.
Mhm.
But outside of that, his proportions like for bodies is horrendous.
Oh yes,
He freaking puts belly buttons so close to vaginas. It's insane. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense at all. And I don't know. It just, his proportions are with the female anatomy, especially. It's so weird and just off to me. So, but whatever. That's what he likes, and that's how he does it. So, and he gets paid good for doing it. So there you go.
and he went on and did a long run of Spider-Man like this. And
Did he really?
oh yeah,
Oh, thank God I don't read that. For enjoyment, anyways. All right, y'all ready to dive into this?
yeah.
Awesome. Let's start off Amazing Spider-Man number 666. This is the prologue, the one and only. Start off with Spidey doing what Spidey does, stopping robbers, supervillains, and tests new tech at the lab. Just another average day in the life of Spider-Man, till it's not. Bank thieves are breaking Spidey's webs, and others are showing spider traits. In the meantime, Jackal and company are up to no good, but has it already started? The one thing that I did enjoy, because we get to see several characters throughout this story, and we get to see them several times over. One of them was, I always confuse them because the names or whatever. It's not Starfire, but Firestar.
Mhm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then her little buddy Gravity,
Mhm.
who I could care less about, honestly. She makes a reference to the TV show that she was on with Spider-Man back in like the late 60s, early 70s or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But saying, Spidey and his amazing friends. We're Spidey's amazing friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I know that. Because I love that show.
Which was her and Iceman
Yep.
on that show.
And they all lived together in an apartment. And they would
Mhm.
like click a button and all the shit would turn around. And they would be like their headquarters in there. And then they would fly out the window. And I'm like, how the fuck are you supposed to hide that? You got all this other stuff that hides everything. You couldn't at least go to the roof? Come on. But yeah, I like that little throw in there. I think you get to a certain age and that means nothing.
yeah.
But for me or whatever, like I remember watching that as a kid. So
Yeah, same. My note though was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe they referenced that terrible
I
cartoon.
love it. I love it. I love all those cartoons.
For me, like it was hard in this first issue because there was a lot of things that I feel like I needed to know who these people were or what was going on a little bit. Like, and it just kind of kept jumping around. So it was kind of hard to follow the flow of the story during this one. And I get that it's kind of a little bit of a setup issue. Obviously, this has apparently been 600 issues before this, but
665.
yeah. So, yeah, but so I mean, obviously, if you've read all of those, then hey, you're good to go. But for me, just jumping in it right here, yeah, it's kind of kind of hard to grasp it. And then, like I said, it feels kind of choppy on some of the scenes where he, even with just in the current storyline, like whenever they were where they jumped where he had the white suit on, was sending off the whole family or whatever. Like I was like, what just happened here? I didn't know if that was the same Peter Parker or what exactly there until finally I got through a couple panels and like, oh, okay, maybe it is actually the same one. There were those kind of things, but it was kind of cool still seeing all the different characters, even though I didn't know 90% of them. Overall, it was still like it was good, and I liked seeing in this the white suit that you got to see in Spider-Man 2, the game on PlayStation.
Oh yeah, well that's the Future Foundation suit. That's not that was in the first Spider-Man game as like an unlockable suit. That's not the quote unquote anti-venom suit. But
really,
yeah, the anti-venom suit. He doesn't really get a suit. Like we just that was a thing specifically made for the game.
Okay.
But anti-venom is a thing, obviously, in the story, and later, like Eddie Brock was dying of cancer, and it's a whole thing. He got a piece of the Venom symbiote was still in him. I forget, something happened, and it creates anti-venom, and he's like super religious at this point, because he was like near death.
Very.
Yeah. He has a very like Messiah complex in this story. Yeah. Anyway, and his whole thing is he can cure illnesses, including Spider-Man. Like if he were to fight Spider-Man, he could technically take away Spider-Man's powers.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
But yeah, there was, I forget what issues they are, but as we go through them, there was references to other things that happened both in this comic and that video game that you played. Like Aunt May is talking about how Martin Lee became Mr. Negative and she had to leave Feast and all that stuff. And I figured you'd be like, hey, I know that from the game.
Yeah, I saw it behind her, like the Feast, like the facility where I was like, hey, still getting ruined.
That's mostly why I picked this story, because I figured you'd at least know some of the stuff that they're referencing in this.
Yeah.
It's an event book, so it is going to be kind of like throwing you in the middle of like other people's stories. I thought they did a pretty good job. Like at the beginning, they kind of explain, at the beginning of every issue, they kind of give you a rundown of everything. So I thought they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, but then also like I did like where in some of those it would have that little red asterisk, and so then you knew, and like as you read, you could see at the bottom where it said like it basically if you wanted to know kind of more of what they were talking about to read this particular issue and this run and all that kind of stuff, and I thought that was very helpful. Like if that's something that you like want to go back and learn about. I wish that was in all the comics, because there's been one or two of those and a couple of those that we've read where I'm like, it has these side stories and I have no idea what they're talking about and no idea where to even go to figure it out. So I like that they give the little shortcuts there to, if you want to know what's happening in those backstories, you can.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I believe they're called like editor notes or something like that. But yeah, some of them get pretty funny. And I too appreciate them.
Yeah.
I will say there's some stuff in this issue that means jack shit. Like not touched on again. It doesn't mean a damn thing. And it was all like a lot of stuff that I was looking at that I was like, ooh, are we gonna see that again? Like, is that gonna be a thing?
What was it?
It was so like the Spidey freeze dart. I was like, oh, we'll see that again.
No. Yeah. No. Yeah.
The suit that changes, like Tony Stark type tech, where he just like double taps and it just.
Well, that's Reed Richards' unstable molecule costume. They gave that for him. Yeah. So the backstory with that is Johnny died in the comics, and his like dying wish was that Spider-Man, because they're like kind of best buddies in the comics, for Pete to be the fourth member of the Fantastic Four, which at that point they were calling themselves the Future Foundation, because Reed opened up a school for like all sorts of gifted, like it didn't matter. It mutant, any kind of person that had superpowers. There's a bunch of moloids. There's people from other dimensions. Like it didn't matter. He was just saying like, this is the future for our planet or whatever.
And they could still go by the FF.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta be honest with you, the Spidey Future Foundation suit is so cool, man. It's one of my favorite costumes.
It is fantastic. I will agree with that. Another one was Hobgoblin. We get to see a panel of Hobgoblin, and it's like that doesn't mean shit.
Yep. One of the it's crap. I can't. Phil Urich, Ben Urich's son. I think it's Phil Urich, who's Hobgoblin. Okay. I read some of the tie-ins in case y'all had questions for some of the stuff that maybe got answered in tie. His tie-in book is fucking pointless. It is so it is the definition of why I don't read tie-ins. Like, it is so pointless. It doesn't fucking matter. It's annoying.
Nice. The FF leaving, like, just since we're on that, that was another one. It's like, we don't even need to be here.
Yeah.
We don't have to say farewell. Fuck them. They'll be fine. Reed's got this. He's always got it. Just send him off. That was it. That was all the ones that I saw that I was just like, this is just filler.
I gotcha. Yeah. Well, I think it was more of just stories were going on in these other books, and they were like, well, we need to push them away for this event, and then they can come back later. And it'll be like nothing happened. Again, events fuck up a lot of other stories that are going on currently. As we're reading comics, it's nice for like Jeremy and our listeners and stuff to kind of see how this kind of goes. And it sucks, but for the most part, I thought they did a pretty good job. There are way worse like handled event books. Man, there's some cool Easter eggs. First off, when Pete, at the start of the comic, when Pete's fighting one of the gunmen, he like webs up some like bank robbers. One of the person at like the ATM, there's a Captain America, the First Avenger poster, like by the ATM, right by like an Orbit gum ad. I don't know. I just thought that was cool.
That is funny.
We get to see Agent Venom. This is you saw that in the Spider-Man 2 game with Harry putting on like a costume and it turning into like a more tactical looking Venom suit. That's the Agent Venom suit, but he's Flash Thompson in this.
Yeah.
Flash goes over. So Flash is like Spider-Man's bully, in case you don't remember from all the like Spider-Man movies. The funny thing is he's also Spider-Man's number one fan. Like, he literally has a Spider-Man fan club back when he was in like college and high school. But it inspires him to eventually become a soldier, and he serves his country. And while he's over there, I think when the story was being told, he went over to the Iraqi war and his legs got blown up. So he's now a wounded warrior or wounded veteran, if you will. And eventually the government gets the symbiote off of Eddie Brock, and they figure out a way to kind of like control it and tame it. So they go to Flash and they're like, hey, do you want to have your legs back? Do you want to be able to walk again? So they give him the symbiote and he becomes what's known as Agent Venom. And throughout his story, we should read it too, because it's actually quite a cool story. Throughout his story, sometimes he'll lose control and turn back into the monstrous looking Venom. But for the most part, he kind of has full control of it. And it's where he, looks like what he does in this story.
Agent Venom seemed pretty, like, I've heard of that character before and I've seen him. And he does have like a cool aesthetic appeal, but I've never read anything with that character in there. And he seemed to have like somewhat of a cool story as we're reading this Spider-Man. It's very splotchy because, it's also part of that tie-in and stuff, it seems like. But it's like they did a good job, but they didn't do a good job at filling in his story. But yeah, he seemed interesting to me.
Yeah, his tie-in is the best thing, and is like, I think it's only 2 issues or maybe 3, but his is the best thing to read if anything, if you want more context for what's going on. They even reveal who Spider King is in his book instead of the event. And anyway, it's the coolest one in my opinion out of all the tie-ins.
Yeah, I hated that because that threw me off pretty bad, honestly. I was like, what the, like, when we get to it, like, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I love the shot of like the Avengers playing poker. In this issue, and Pete's like, oh, you guys do this all the time? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, why didn't you invite me? It's like, well, it's because you have the Spidey sense, but since you don't have that now, which that's a whole nother thing with the backstory, long story short is Pete had to do something with some kind of technology thing. And when he did it, it blew up and knocked out his Spidey sense. So anyway, they're like, oh, and you also just never shut up.
That was one of my biggest plot hole things, was the whole Spidey sense thing.
Mhm.
That does not make sense to me at all.
Why is that?
Because it's like, he doesn't have Spidey sense. And then we get later on to another issue where there's some criminals that do wind up having Spidey sense, even though they're putting up the dampers up, you know what I mean? To kind of like control all the spider people.
Well, he got his Spidey sense knocked out in a previous story. They're dampening, I don't even know if they're dampening the Spidey sense. They're just dampening their connection to the web of life bullshit. That's the other thing why I picked this, because eventually we will do Spider-Verse. And this kind of kicks off the start of that, of the whole web of life. And there's got to be a connection. This also connects with The Other, which is another story we may want to read. I fucking hate all this. This is where they get rid of Spidey being a radioactive scientific like mutation, and instead he's this cosmic being that is chosen to save the web of life and all this bullshit.
He's Spider Jesus.
Yeah, pretty much. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it so much. But yeah, they were dampening that. They weren't blocking like the Spidey sense stuff. But it was Dan Slott's way of like making it even harder for Spidey. It was like, oh, I got to deal with all this and I don't have my Spidey sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the exact wording what it was that threw me off or whatever, but I might have it in my notes as we get closer to that. I don't know.
But yeah, on that same vein, I love the double splash page where Shang-Chi is teaching him like the way of the spider, his like spider kung fu, his spider fu. And he's like fighting Madam Web all over the place. I thought that shit was cool as hell because like Spidey's like my favorite character. And it's like, he learns this like kung fu, so he doesn't technically need it. But when eventually he gets his Spidey sense back, he's like even more of a threat. Anyway, I just thought it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Thought it was really neat. And yeah, learning that whole part of obviously learning that he didn't have the Spidey sense anymore kind of threw me off. And but I just kind of was one of those like, well, I guess if I wanted to, I could go back and read it, but I just went with the flow for now. But yeah, it was really neat. And even seeing in that like how the kung fu kind of gave him the quote unquote Spidey sense as far as like feeling like somebody's there with him, or watching him, whatever. So that and then obviously the full circle of there towards at the end, whenever he's getting his Spidey sense and the kung fu mixed in. That's really cool.
Yeah,
he looked like a confused lucha libre.
He does look like a lucha libre, but that's fitting because technically when he originally created his spider suit, he was in a wrestling rink trying to be like a lucha libre. So,
oh my god, get the fuck out of here!
I'm serious. That is what.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, no.
Just need Jack Black in there with him.
Nacho. This one was very long because it was like a prologue.
Yeah. That's what whenever I was reading it, I was like, oh, I hope not all these issues are this long.
I was wondering if you guys were going to think that.
Well, let's see how 667 went. Spider Island, Part 1, The Amazing Spider-Man Hatton. Peter's girlfriend has powers. Not surprising, though. Lots of people have spider powers, and Jackal, of course, has a plan. A Spider-Man fight breaks out in Midtown New York. But will the real Spider-Man please stand up?
I see what you did there. I forgot to even mention the other thing I hate so much within this story is Miles Warren, a.k.a. the Jackal, is in there. He's the reason why I stopped reading Spider-Man years and years ago. I fucking hate him. His tie-in book, too. He's an absolute crazy asshole. And
Jackal?
I
Yeah, he's
all like him then.
He clones essentially Gwen Stacy because he wants to basically bang her is the truth of that. And anyway, eventually he finds out that Peter's like Spider-Man, so he's like trying to ruin Spider-Man's life by like creating a clone. And That's where we get Ben Reilly from, and eventually this clone that's in this story called Kane, which was kind of like a fucked up clone. Like he had a fucked up looking face, and he would do this whole thing called the Mark of Cain, where he would like put his hand on someone's face and then use his Spidey power to stick to their face and then like rip their flesh off. It's a whole thing.
That's a very 90s move.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he's a very 90s character.
That's funny.
Like, I mean, already in this one is where I just like, oh, okay, this is why nobody likes Madam Web. Like, just already just annoying.
In this one? In this issue?
Yeah, I mean, just because with what she did in the first one, and then her like talking to Shang-Chi in this one and stuff, like I'm just like, all right, she's just snobby know-it-all that you just want to punch in the face kind of thing.
Yeah. She's bullshit. Her whole like the web of life stuff. It's just, and she's like a precog. She can see the future, but when she can't, like they always make some bullshit reason why she can't see the future at certain times. And it also has to do with the other, because spoilers for this, Kane's the other. That'll come into play in the whole Spider-Verse stuff.
Yeah.
I will say I like the first page. I like how it's done. Like I hate Humberto's art totally, but I love that shot of Peter's then girlfriend in the story, Carly Cooper, is on the wall, but the way it's drawn, it looks like Pete is on, not the wall.
Mm-hmm.
She's on the ceiling, but it looks like Pete's on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool thing, because like it kind of tricks you if you've read this for the first time. You're like, oh shit, did Pete just reveal his identity? And then it's like the next page is like, oh no, never mind, she's on the ceiling.
Right. No, the more that I look at this, the more that I hate it.
Oh yes.
Because like if you look at this page, if you look at, and you know, whatever, if you look at her butt,
Yeah, no.
the pant, like what the fuck is going on there?
Yeah, she looks like she
Like,
has a
none
diaper.
of that makes sense. Right, exactly. And then like there's almost a plumber's crack going on. It doesn't, like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then like her top, the way it is, there is no way that she's hanging upside down and those tatas are staying in there. I'm sorry, them spaghetti straps are not holding them nips in. Okay, it's not happening.
They're gonna be on the floor at this point.
Like, she is gonna be lucky if she does not suffocate from those things. I'm just saying right now.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, because there was one like an issue later where it's the like one of these panels, and it's a big panel. I was like, oh, okay, there they are. Like, we'll get to it, but it's just like, just
Tatas.
like, yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of boobs and butts, which they know. Like, comics are meant for like 15-year-old boys usually, so they know their audience.
Right. I do appreciate that, you know, she actually can't stand on walls without shoes, because that's another thing that's gotten me with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
How the fuck do your feet stick to walls, bro?
Yeah, well, in the comics, it's like a cloth. Like, he doesn't have shoes. It's just cloth on his thing. But yeah.
Oh, well, my first experience with Spider-Man was Tobey Maguire climbing up that brick wall with his Converse on, and I'm like, no, bro.
But
That's
also, you have to remember,
way.
he has the like strength of like a human, like a man-sized spider. So like he can lift like a fucking fire engine over his head like it was a fucking pillow. So I think his upper body strength is strong enough to like where he doesn't need his feet to lift him up.
Oh, there's several times he's standing on the wall sideways. Come on now. With shoes on.
They also the Sam Raimi one, like the whole hair follicles, like where it zooms in on that, like that's not a thing. It's just, he just sticks. It's like, I don't know, like magnetism or something.
Yeah. No, I don't like that either. Because that defeats the purpose of gloves.
Yeah. I will say, in this one, like, I was never a fan of the way he drew Mary Jane.
Oh, yeah.
She's just terrible as well. Like,
yeah.
It's always looked awkward.
Yeah, there's one, we'll get to it. It's near the end, but yeah, there's one that's just fucking awful. I love Miles Warren is a crazy asshole, but I love the joke of this 6 mile wide gang. I thought that shit was funny.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Miles is rounding up like gang members to give them all spider suits to cause mayhem in like Central Park or something like that. And when they're in there, there's a bunch of Miles clones that are just they look like him before he turned himself into the Jackal, which is that green looking that doesn't even fucking look like a jackal. Technically, that's supposed to be the original Miles, that the green looking one, the one that looks like, I don't know, fucking like Goblin, but not like Green Goblin, but like fantasy Lord of the Rings Goblin. Yeah. And anyway, they're making a joke. Yo, who are all these guys with the same mustache? And he replies, we're the Jackal's men, his 6 miles wide gang. And another clone says, good one.
I got you.
And this was there were two things in this, like this page here where these couple panels are. One is whenever Carly swings off to be Spider Cop, it just looks terrible. Like, what just happened? Like, you broke so many different bones to try and twist that way.
Yeah,
I don't know. It just that one was like, I was like, what just happened? I don't even know what I'm looking at necessarily on that one.
Yeah.
On that one, then also on the next panel where he goes, so that's what that feels like. It made me think of the Batman whenever that happens, like where they just disappear. It's like, oh, so that's what that's like.
Yeah,
so that was kind of funny.
When I was supposed to say Spider Woman, when Catwoman slips away, and Christian Bale's like, so that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
I just want to sit there and say, fuck this Carly chick. I can't stand her.
Yeah.
I don't even know why Peter's with her, but
because
he needs to move on.
Right before this, One More Day happened. Not right before, but like One More Day happened. So him and Mary Jane are split at this point.
So she's like the rebound?
Yeah. I mean, he eventually dates her. He meets her through like a story where her dad was working for Mysterio. And anyway, because she's like a forensic investigator or whatever, and a forensic scientist. So she's technically a police officer, real quick, Jeremy, this is the inception of Spider Cop, the joke that's all throughout the Sony Spider-Man games.
Oh, that's where that came from?
Yeah, that's where this came from.
Okay.
It's a reference, I guess, technically to this. But yeah, and we even get a mention of Captain Watanabe, which will eventually become Wraith.
Oh.
And anyway, yeah.
Going back to Carl, and also, I mean, your first sign that she's some kind of psycho and you don't need to mess with her is that she's wearing Crocs.
I was wondering if anyone noticed that.
Don't you dare diss on Crocs. You son of a bitch. Those are fantastic.
I thought you were going to say she had the Spider-Man like belly tattoo.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to. Yeah.
That too, but yeah. You got that and the Crocs, you just need to run.
I do have a question. Y'all remind me about this too, by the way. Like, how's she going to feel about that tattoo by the end of the story? I'm just saying.
Well,
I thought about that as well.
You want to know something funnier? Is like, I don't know, a couple of issues later, she becomes a goblin person. So
of course she does.
She becomes a villain to fight Peter. So anyway.
You can tell from this she's a crazy bitch.
Uh-huh.
Not nearly as crazy as one of the characters,
Crocs.
which was tying into the Hobgoblin stories. The Crocs.
The Crocs. Who swings around with Crocs on?
He sounds like JJ. He's a menace.
Shouldn't even have the little I don't know, the off-road gear like engaged there, where she didn't have the little back ankle strap going around the back there. So they
that's how all the cool kids wear it. What are you doing? You don't put that strap on unless you're 80 years old.
That's funny.
I have no notes for this. I'm just letting y'all know. I wrote a summary and y'all were good enough to get that.
Yeah.
I have a ton, but I'm just going to go through the important ones. I love that MJ reference when all the Spider-Men are attacking in New York, and she's like, "Oh God, are we doing another clone saga again?" And I was like, "Same, MJ, same." Also, I love the very last page where the to be continued is. It's almost like a Where's Waldo of where the real Spider-Man is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch laid out.
Yeah,
they don't look good.
Yeah.
Jeez and Pete's, you see this big one here in the middle of the page? Man, the tummy on that
Yeah,
guy.
he looks like me if I wore a Spider-Man suit.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's me cosplaying a Spider-Man right now.
What? Amazing Spider-Man 668, Part 2, Peter Parker, the Unspectacular. The Avengers want Spider-Man to sit the fight out, but Peter is determined to be part of it. Mr. Fantastic joins the cure team. Anti-Venom seems to be curing people. Agent Venom makes a cameo while Peter and Carly do some investigating. One of my notes is, what the fuck with Jackal in that sex scene? I don't know why. Like, this dude is a horn dog.
Oh, yeah. No, he's I fucking hate him so goddamn much.
Okay, so here's one of my biggest beefs. And this happens in several panels in this. It looks like Jessica Drew is flying, and she can't fly. That's not a thing.
Oh, she
She can
can't.
glide.
It's falling
She
with
can
style.
glide. Right. That's not flying. That's and look. Hold on.
No, I know what you're talking about. Like where she's
Dude,
behind
she's
Iron
like-
Man.
Yes.
She's
Yeah, and they're like staring at the bridge, and she's just sitting there, just idle, like everything's okay. Like, no.
there's a the storm is right there. There's an updraft, and she's just floating off
Get
that
the
updraft.
fuck out of here. This is too late for me to be dealing with this bullshit. Updraft.
I hate Jessica Drew in general, but I've never really liked Spider-Woman because she's not technically a spider person. She's just like a science experiment. Like she was never bitten by a radioactive spider, which is why she doesn't really play a role in this.
There you go, Jeremy. Just in case you're I'm showing the panel right now. She is standing straight up in the air with behind Iron Man and way behind Storm there. Way behind her. Just in the air like she's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Aunt May did not age well either. By the
No.
way. Good Lord, she looks like Skeletor or fucking Crypt Keeper right there in that one panel. Hot damn.
Yeah. She's always portrayed as really fucking old. You want to talk about like the art and proportions being bad? The very first page where we get the title of Spider Island Part 2, like you see Jeremy's favorite there, Carol Danvers, and like you see her butt, but like what the fuck is going on like with her hips and stuff? It looks like she's dislocated her hip. It just looks fucking weird to me.
Yeah.
Wait, where was this?
It's like the first page where we get the title, I should say. It's not technically the first
Okay.
page.
Peter's all hunched over. Oh, I can't fight with the guys today.
He's sad because he can't help out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. She does look a little awkward. Which, never mind. That'll be another thing later.
And then of course, when Pete makes his like, we're New Yorkers, we can be heroes for a day, and like everybody's charging in, there's a bunch of like just New Yorkers, but there's a bunch of weird proportions in this. Michael, I know when we were talking about it off podcast last week, that girl in there with like showing the midriff, her belly button's way out of place and it looks weird. I think the UPS guy looks weird. Also, there's like a My Chemical Romance guy in the background that looks fucking odd the way he's drawn. There's also that same page that you were talking about with Spider-Woman. The cops in that panel look fucking weird to me.
So since we're talking about all the artwork and stuff, from the first page where it's got the title, go about, I don't know, 2 pages over, and you see Peter talking to MJ. If that's not a horse mouth MJ, I don't know what is. Because good Lord, look at that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, why does she look like that?
I gotta be honest with you, out of all the like bad MJ drawings, this one's the least offensive.
Oh, it absolutely is. But she's just like, ha. Like that's what I see when I look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hate like he did terrible to Captain Marvel there. So
She's Miss Marvel at this point.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, that's her Miss Marvel
Okay.
costume.
I guess that's the reason why it's the black and with the lightning or whatever looking type thing.
This is before she becomes Captain Marvel.
See that okay. So this is just random off topic here, kind of comic pasta. But
Okay.
I was on a flight the other day, and it was just one of those like I was just watching a movie, and like the Marvels was one of them. I was like, oh hey, I'll watch that again. And literally, like, how can you? I mean, she literally restarted a sun. I mean, come on, she just brightens your world altogether.
Jesus Christ. She don't brighten my world. She brightened fucking Kree's world.
That personality in the first movie did no brightening.
Yeah.
That was a rainy day always. Always.
Yeah.
If Eeyore was a woman, that would have been it right there.
That's funny.
I do have another thing. They wanted Peter out of the fight because they were worried about hitting him. However, the Avengers had no problem somewhat trying to cripple all the other ordinary people that were spider people.
They had spider powers. They were fine.
What?
They were bad guys. Fuck them.
Pete, get out of the way. We're going to beat the shit out of these other guys.
I love when they're like trying to figure out if Pete really is really him, and Logan does his like smelling thing. I mean, I just thought of
I can smell really far.
I thought this was neat. Like I said, this is your first glance of Anti-Venom.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool seeing him. And little did I know just how egotistical he would become, basically.
Yeah.
Or like you said, like even it says in the comic that the Messiah complex that he has. I'm like, geez.
He just wants to do good.
Yeah.
He shot that one guy up like hard though. Like, bruh, had nowhere to go.
Dude just wanted spider powers. He just like,
Right?
no, fuck him. I'm saving you.
Right?
Because really, like at that point, you're, obviously, like as we find out, he was only in stage 1 or whatever of this whole thing, and like, I mean, if I got to stage 1, I'd be like, no, leave me alone. I want it. Like, this isn't some kind of disease.
I'm sorry. Have y'all not seen Anti-Venom? He's fucking horrifying looking.
Yeah.
If I saw that coming after me, I would be hauling ass away.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit what he's doing or what he's got. It can't be good. But
Yeah.
He's got a violator mouth, and yeah, the way that his speech bubble is written, it sounds like he sounds like almost demonic. Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks horrifying. I will agree with that.
He's got these freaking bag lady fingernails as well. Like, no, get me the fuck out of here.
I just feel like Madam Web is just like the only purpose for her is just to be like, oh, there's something else at play. I need to see what else is going to happen here. That's all she does. Just to try and like tickle you to keep reading.
Yeah. Yeah, she's pointless.
She sounds like a spider version of the Watcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She kind of is. Especially, yeah. I mean, yeah, she is. That's pretty good summation of her.
Right.
She has powers and she will use them, but yes, most of the time she's just fucking annoying is what she is. There's an Easter egg when the New Yorkers, I forgot to mention it, but when the New Yorkers are swinging in to help, Stan Lee's in the background. He's behind the guy wearing the New Yorker 1 like basketball jersey. That's Stan Lee behind him.
New York.
Oh,
cool. Yeah. He's like right underneath Spidey's crotch.
Mm-hmm.
Poor buddy. He should have been front and center. I'm just saying.
I like Spider-Man in a story that ties in with the main villain of the story. He got turned into a giant spider monster, and after that, he emerges from the like husk of that spider monster, born anew, and he had organic web shooters and like some stingers, and I think that was it. But anyway, because at the time the Sam Raimi movie was going on, and he had organic web shooters, and they wanted the comics to match the movie. So anyway, I like that when Carly's like, hey, I'm out of web fluid. And he's like, you got to eat more starchy things and drink like lots of fluid and stuff. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool.
She didn't have organic, did she?
Yeah. Everybody that gets turned into it has organic. She runs out of web fluid, so he gives her
Okay.
the chameleon web shooters that he made like years ago when he was impersonating
Gotcha.
Spider-Man.
Okay. Yeah, I'd went past that. I got you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Also, I love when he finally realizes that Miles Warren is behind this. He's like, "Oh, of course it's the Jackal. I should have known that." My note was like, "Yes, you fucking should have." Like, what the fuck, Pete? And then lastly, there's a lot of butts. A lot of like butts. I wrote bunny butt at the very last issue. You just see like a big bunny butt in like right by the to be continued thing. And then we see it again in the next issue. It's just fucking weird.
Right? And it's like purposely by word, so you have to see it.
Yeah, it is. The other thing, when you were talking about like the Jackal's like sex jokes and stuff, I was like, God, I fucking hate the Jackal. He's like Spider-Man's Joker, but like not nearly as like entertaining.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Amazing Spider-Man 669. This is part 3, Arachnotopia. Peter and Carly take out Scorcher, White Rabbit, and Chance. Step 2 of Jackal's plan starts with Agent Venom hopefully able to stop it. People are trying to get into New York so they can get spider powers too. Horizon Lab has constructed an invisible fence for the spider people. They also found that the virus, which is airborne and affects normal people, not mutants or superheroes. Anti-Venom is still curing people.
I love the like trope of like, oh my God, it's gone airborne.
From JJ. Yeah.
Man, JJ is so fucking funny in this because he's like the mayor and he's just like, I will not be the mayor that let, like New York be taken over by spider people.
Right.
It's so funny to me. Tarantula, who we know from previous issues, he's Kane turned into this giant monster spider humanoid thing. He's just Bane from Batman and Robin. Like the entire time, he's just like he just says like broken sentence. He's like, Peter, got new moves. Nice. Like it just reminds me of Bane from that movie.
In this, who's supposed to be the little green box of like text?
On what page? It's probably Jackal.
No, well, I guess maybe. It's after they tie up the what's her?
Yes.
Who's the Roger Rabbit girl?
The furry.
Yeah.
The White Rabbit.
Yeah, she's known as the White
the
Rabbit.
green boxes are supposed to be because Jackal's watching everything that's going on the screens
Oh, okay.
when him and Carly were fighting off. And so like Jackal knows Peter is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so that it's Jackal talking to
Tarantula.
Spider-Bane.
Oh, okay.
Spider-Bane.
Yeah, that fight scene and everything that made me hate Carly even more. Like I was just
Yeah.
like, bro, why are you doing this to yourself?
Nobody likes really Carly. And honestly, this issue is setting up for MJ and Pete to eventually get back together. That's really not this issue, but this event is kind of setting that up.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I was hoping for.
This does have really good facial expressions for like JJ in here.
Yeah.
As much as we trash the artwork, like JJ's expressions in here are pretty like spot on. Him yelling, him being frustrated, him like being concerned or worried. Like they're all good facial expressions for him.
I love the part where Reed comes stretching in and he's like, Jesus, man, can't you just walk into a room like a normal person?
Yeah. So in this one, with it being Red Hulk, who is that now?
That one's Thunderbolt Ross at the
Okay.
time.
Okay. That's what I wasn't sure about.
Yeah, I had to look that up because I was like, is this the other guy or is it Thunderbolt? But it's Thunderbolt Ross at this time.
Okay.
I like Carly's like questioning because like she's like, okay, I want to meet Spider-Man because she's kind of on to Pete, especially after the like, oh, you just need to eat starchy foods and drink lots of fluids to like replenish your organic web shooting. And anyway, she eventually meets with Spider-Man, but she's like, oh, maybe we should just call Pete or something like And he's like, no, we can't right now. I gotta go. I'm getting a call. There's a robbery. And I gotta go. I just wrote like, yeah, she totally knows.
Right.
Yeah. This is more just adding to the pointlessness of Madam Web.
Yeah. Yes.
Because that
But
whole thing of
the
like
web of life, she's losing touch with it, and she's
Good.
she's in the
has
fetal
no effect on
position,
it.
and
Yeah, my favorite though is at the end where Pete goes to where supposedly something is happening, and it's revealed it's fucking Shocker, which is his name's Herman, and he's all like, "Oh God, Spider-Man, you gotta help me!" And he's like a spider monster with like 3 or 6 arms. And then, of course, it's revealed who the true villain behind this, which I'm assuming y'all, because I was this way, but when it happened, I was very much like,
Who?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was too.
oh, absolutely, I thought it was made just for this story.
nope. She has ties to Captain America way back in the day when he was fighting in World War II alongside the Human Torch, like the Cyborg and Namor and all that.
Yeah,
I believe she's a creation of the whole Weapon X. Like she's another like superhuman, like super soldier that they were trying to create. And anyway, they banged for a little while. Captain America and her were like a thing for like a hot second. She's also like really like she has all the power. She can control like insects and spiders, which spiders aren't insects. But anyway, she also has like psychic powers. She's super strong. She super fast. Like she has all the powers. When she came out, I was just like, who the fuck is this?
right.
Yeah. That's what I was like, oh, like I just trying to figure out who this was, and then it got revealed. I was like, okay, like I don't know. It's supposed to be some major reveal, and I was like, I guess she's Spider Queen. What I don't or Queen Spider. I don't know.
Yeah, she calls herself Spider Queen here, but originally she was just known as the Queen way back in the day.
Yeah, it's not egotistical at all.
Yeah. All right, on to ASM 670, Part 4, Spiders Everywhere. As the title states, everyone is a spider. We get backstory of a sort, an origin for the Queen, and how she captured Captain America. J. Jonah has a plan, but can he act in time? How long did Jonah, like, kidnap somebody? Like you, just because you're the mayor doesn't mean you can just go around kidnapping folks and have them locked up in your basement somewhere. You know what I mean? Like that's not you can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because it's a spider person. He's like, fuck him.
Well, I mean, this person like
Oh, yeah. Spider
killed his
Alistair,
wife.
Yeah. Alistair Smythe, the Spider Slayer. Sorry, I'm thinking of something else. But yeah. Yeah. No, it's because he killed his wife. They're keeping him under. I don't even know if they kept him there or if they just brought him to the command center so they could get an idea because he's built spider slayers to defeat Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I took it anyway, that he wasn't there the entire time. He just brought him in, like transported him here.
I thought he did like kidnapped him however long ago and was just holding him hostage and just waiting for the right time to use him for something.
Yeah. No, I don't think that was it, but there was a note about reading Spider-Man Deadly Foes #1, which I think is the one, that deals with Hobgoblin and Robbie Reyes's son. I forget what his name is, but Randy Reyes. And I'm just like, or don't, like, don't read it. It's a fucking terrible title.
My last note is all the way towards like 4 pages from the end of the book. And we see Mary Jane and she's all spidered out now. And she's like one of the last ones to spider out. She's got gummy worm fingers.
What do you mean?
Look at her fingers and think of gummy worms. They look like.
I'm looking at her fingers right now. Are you talking about the one where she's crawling or the one where she's stuck to the wall, like in the jean skirt? I don't think those look like gummy worms. Look, I know gummy worms very well because they're like one of my favorite snacks.
Them fingers ain't right. I'm just letting you know right here, right now.
Yeah, well, they're definitely not right.
Like,
I thought you meant the other one. Go back to that other like upper left panel where she's like, it's doing like this. That one looks more like a gummy worm to me. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Or, well, she's got a toe index finger.
That's
Right?
index. She's Megan Fox.
No, that's legit. No, you're legit on that one. Like that does look like a big toe. Like that is straight up a big toe as an index finger. Like it starts out as a normal finger and then it just swells up like a cartoon and it's
Yeah.
just like plop, big old fat big toe.
It reminds me of a Ninja Turtle finger for some reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. Square fingernail and all.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
notes here just because I have notes on all issues, but there really wasn't too much other than just like, I was like, yay, MJ finally got Spider powers.
Yeah.
I love the moment between JJ and Spider-Man where they're fighting all of the like spider monsters and Peter is just fucking quipping left, right, and center, and he's just like, will you shut up?
Yeah.
I do have a question. When we see Venom taking on Anti-Venom,
Mhm.
is that Agent Venom? Because I thought at this time, Agent Venom was in disguise as Spider King.
Yeah, Spider King. So in the tie-in book, he fights Spider King, captures him. It's revealed. This issue reveals finally who it is. For our listeners, Spider King's Captain America.
Yeah.
That's who it is. They capture him. He spews out a bunch of spiders because he's in like a tank of some sort, and it breaks it out of the facility. They're like almost at the point where they have to like blow up the facility because they don't want this virus getting out of Manhattan, which they're outside of Manhattan. I forget where the facility is located. And Flash doesn't have the symbiote on him at the time. He's like in a wheelchair, and the symbiote gets onto a dog and like fights Spider King for a little bit, and then it gets onto Eddie, and they fight, and he defeats him, subdues him. He gets a mission where he's going to impersonate Spider King, go back to the Queen, and get intel. And then when he's given the orders to snap her neck, and he gets there, he gets more intel of a cure, and they're like, you know what, that's priority one. Go to wherever this cure is, and we got to get that cure to Reed. So he volunteers to the Queen of like, hey, I'll take care of this problem or whatever. And he goes there.
Yeah.
And then he just looks like a normal person with the symbiote. But when he gets in front of Anti-Venom realizes it's the symbiote, and they have like a big fight, and he turns into like monstrous Venom at that point.
Okay.
It's a pretty cool story, but the funny thing is they could have just solved this with a conversation, because they even say that when later on when Anti-Venom is delivered to Reed. Reed's like, I'm sorry, Eddie, but we got to bring you in. And he's like, oh, I would have come willingly if you just told me. He's like, oh, well, why didn't you? He's like, well, the guy that brought me in didn't say anything. He just tried to fucking kill me.
Right.
But it's because of the Venom symbiote. It realized it was Eddie, and it monstered out and tried to like kill him.
This is probably the issue where it falls apart the most for me, as far as like from the tie-in stuff.
Yeah.
Because like it's not revealed that Cap was Spider King, and like I was like, okay, wait, what the fuck? What am I missing? Like it was one of those moments. I mean, you figure it out, but it's still like that's a big reveal that does not happen in the main story. I think you were mentioning something like that earlier. Do what?
It does in this one, because when she's talking that flashback of when she captured him, and then she says something about like my captain.
No, right. They mention it. I'm just saying, like, for it to be, an Avenger, Captain America, like, you would think that would be like a big reveal they would do in the Spider-Man story.
Yeah.
Not the Venom title or whatever it was.
Yeah, the
at that
Venom
point in time.
tie-in. I agree.
Yeah.
That should have been in this story as well, but for some fucking reason they didn't.
Yeah.
I wrote this down. What do you think of Gambit? Well, Humberto's Gambit in this.
Like, I'm looking at him now. I can't do that. He looks like Mr. Fantastic almost.
Yeah.
Like the way that his body's
Yeah.
arching around and stuff like that. And Emma Frost, no.
Yeah.
No,
What's going
like-
on with her hips and thighs?
That V-neck waist that she's got going on right there on her pants is about to show everything.
Well, that's keeping with Emma Frost. She usually dresses provocatively.
She does. I'm just saying, like, there's no room for vagina left in that. Like, there's just not. Like,
one of the worst ones for me is when Carly turns into a spider, and just the giant spiders in general. It's at the very beginning of this issue, and she's turned into a spider. Like, what? It doesn't even look like a spider. It looks like an octopus or something. It's so fucking badly drawn, in my opinion.
You can't tell what the fuck is what. Like, it's hard to see what's going on and where.
And then when we get the title of this issue, where it's like spiders everywhere, all those spiders look fucking weird. Like, they don't look like actual spiders. They look like gross. Honestly, Jeremy, I'm surprised this didn't freak you out. They look like face huggers to me.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I just kind of flipped past that. So.
And it looks like they're flying too. And I'm like, I know they're probably jumping.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what? Like, why does it look like they're ascending to the buildings?
Yeah.
I can't do this. I can't.
The other thing, though, when we were mentioning, this is one of the plot holes. I'm like, how did the Spider Queen not sense that Spider King was not Rogers at that point? She has this like telepathic link between like her and Spider King and also Tarantula.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, how the fuck did she not sense that? Because the story needs it to happen is the reason.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's a good one. I didn't think about that one. Yeah, you're right.
And then, of course, the end where JJ turns into a spider monster and takes a big old bite out of Alistair Smythe's like jugular.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that dude's gone. Spoiler alert. No to be continued for him.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Or is it?
Yeah, he actually does survive because Spider-Man's doing this whole stupid thing where Dan Slott does this whole thing about like no one dies while I'm here or whatever because someone died and he's tired of like people that he cares about dying or whatever. So he says that in this issue, I think, where he's like, nobody dies. Like, that's a slogan he has. It's so stupid, in my opinion.
On to the Amazing Spider-Man 671, Spider Island Part 5, A New Hope. I almost thought that was a Star Wars reference. Like,
yeah, I think
why
it is.
did they not do that with Part 4?
I seriously think it is a reference because the hope hadn't come yet.
Right, but that was supposed to be episode 4.
No, I understand, but like in issue 4 or the 4th issue of this art or this event, the hope hadn't come yet.
That just sounds like poor planning on Dan Slott's part. That's what that sounds like to me.
It could have been.
Mary Jane becomes Spider Jane. Peter tries to save Smythe from Jameson. The Queen gets her forces together while Reed Richards tries out a cure. Brock sacrifices himself. We get a seemingly meaningless cameo.
Good.
Firestar and Gravity talk shit. Madam Web talks shit. Peter faces off against Tarantula.
Nobody gives a shit about Michael Morbius.
There was so much like, what was his name? L or Z? What was it? But they were like, oh, it's this person here. And they were all excited because this doctor was in their laboratories and whatnot like that. And turns out it was Morbius. It's like, what's that? I mean, shit.
Yeah.
Does Reed know that it's Morbius?
I don't know, probably. Who cares?
I would like to think he does.
He's the smartest person like in the Marvel universe, so he probably figured it out. Or he was too busy, because that's also a thing with Reed, is he's too busy to notice certain things. So maybe he was just like, oh, I don't fucking care.
Whatever. At the beginning of this, what happened to Mary Jane?
Yeah, this is the pose that she's doing. Yeah, that one, that is the worst. I don't know.
But I'm also talking about the even like the one where she's like supposedly like, I guess, swinging through the air. Like where'd the rest of her body go?
Okay, so I had to look at that one too. All right. So what you're seeing, okay, is you can follow her back down to where we get down to like this jean skirt thing that she's wearing, which by the way is not spider approved. She has got to be showing her cha-cha slide to everybody she swings past. There is no way she's covering that up. All right. So then you see like basically her ass down to somewhat of her thigh. And then we've got this Rob Liefeld shit going on with her foot right there that covers up everything else.
They blur the toes out,
Right.
for the foot fetish people.
So yeah, it took me a minute, but I figured out the anatomy of what that was supposed to be. But still, her fucking head is broken on this. She is possessed at this point in time. That is some exorcism shit right there.
Well, like she's doing a pose that you can physically do, but it's just, why is she doing that? Like it looks like she's, I don't know, like she's putting on like a Valley Girl kind of like saying or something. I don't know. It's so bizarre. I agree though. Like it sucks. Like I'll be honest with you, I don't like Humberto's art really.
Yeah, and like that at first, whenever her little line there of like saying I'm all the superhero you need, I'm like, well, isn't that kind of full of yourself a little bit there? But I mean, at the same time, like she's had however long she's been with Spider-Man.
I think that's basically what she means by that. It's like, out of all the people in New York other than Pete, I'm the only one who can really help you because I know like how his powers kind of work.
Yeah, and just the like feeling of, it gets reiterated throughout the rest of this series of just like she finally gets to feel what he feels.
Yeah.
In all his, with doing everything he's been doing. So it's kind of gives her, she has more of a in-depth emotional connection with all this than everybody else, obviously. So
yeah, agreed.
Sure.
The other thing, I believe it happens in this issue when he's fighting with Kane, Tarantula, if you will, and they fall into the vat of cure. This is the other plot hole. Kane should not have spider powers at that point. He should just be a regular old person.
Oh, it should have stripped him of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other giant plot hole that I was just like, what?
Yeah.
I love the onomatopoeia scree whenever someone has like a screaming power. the queen has a like sonic blast scream, if you will, and she says scree. So I just wrote LOL scree.
I question, why are we having a superhero dick measuring contest? And this is in reference to Starfire and Gravity versus like Spidey. Like he comes down and he's like, I guess basically questioning like if they need help or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically like, fuck off. We've been heroes for however long. We're not rookies anymore. You know what I mean? It's like,
it's like, okay, thanks. Bye.
Right. Enough said. Carry on. Like, okay, cool. I don't know. It's just stupid to me.
Yeah. I think it's so dumb when Madam Web shows up in like a ball of fly, like fucking Mephisto or some shit. Just shows, I am here.
I put, it's Julia Carpenter, aka Arachna. F that. I'm Madam Web. I can see everything, every possible future, except recently.
Yeah, exactly. Except for the most important one, which is the one currently going on.
Right.
They do that with anyone with, like, we talked about Watchmen last week, but Dr. Manhattan's that way. It's like, it's just so the story can happen. Otherwise, she would be able to like stop it before it even happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have much to say about this one. The only other thing is just the issue. This issue has the like almost infamous, because a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, but of Mary Jane in the like sexy little like booty shorts and the thigh high socks or whatever. And I just wrote, ladies, if you want to ever get your man, you dress like this. If you ever want to get your man, you dress like this.
Yeah.
I had something that was off Spider-Man. And my question is Reed Richards as big of a self-absorbed dick as everyone thinks he is? He goes by Mr. Fantastic instead of Doctor. I'm just saying, usually people that have a doctorate, like if you were to come up to him like, hey, Mr. Smith, It's Dr. Smith. And like, don't get me wrong, you've earned it, by God, you've earned it. Like, I get it. I understand. But everybody's like, oh, Reed's such a dickie. And like, I think the best argument towards what I'm asking is the fact that like it makes that separation between him and Doctor Doom, because Doctor Doom would so be that guy. It's like, fuck you. It is Doctor Doom, bitch.
Well,
Doctor Doom.
I was gonna say also he's a dick because you have fire powers. What are you? I'm gonna call myself the Human Torch. Oh, you're invisible. What are you going to be? I'm gonna call myself the Invisible Woman. Ben, you're made of rock. What are you going to be called? Well, we're going to call you the Thing. And then I'm going to call myself Mr. Fantastic. Even though all I do is stretch.
But he could have been Dr. Fantastic. I'm just saying.
It's still such a dickish, like, I'm fantastic.
Right.
You horrible rock golem. That's it for me.
Yeah, that's all I had.
ASM 672, Part 6, Boss Battle. The Queen is dead until she goes into literal beast mode. All Avengers on deck to take on Spider Queen before she destroys the city and to buy Peter and MJ time to set up their master plan. The only thing I have for this is that in the trade that we're reading, they show a picture of an alternate cover, a variant cover. And it's done by one Gabriel Delato, and he's by far my favorite cover artist of all time. Absolutely favorite, and it's fantastic. If I saw that out and about, I would absolutely pick that up. I don't give a shit that it is Spider-Man. It's fantastic. That's it. Fuck
Which
the rest
one
of
is
the
it?
book. I don't care.
Do you have it? Like a picture of it?
Yeah.
While you're pulling that up, like it's like a typical Resident Evil boss battle. Like the queen turns into a giant spider monster and they have to fight them, which again, this is kind of to me where they kind of like the tie-ins kind of matter. Like just Captain America's cured now. And even though that didn't really even happen in tie-in as well. And yeah, we see he has his like energy shield, which doesn't get explained in any of the tie-ins, but for those wondering, it's like, well, where's the shield? It got destroyed at a certain point. So Tony Stark made him this shield, which is like technically a better shield because like it's almost like a fucking lightsaber and it can still do the shield throwy thing, bouncing off of stuff. And it can even turn into different shapes. But anyway, I was really hoping
Tony
we would.
Stark made it, by God.
Well, no, but I'm saying like it's better, so I don't understand why he goes back to the normal one. Also, I kind of wanted to see it in the movies, but we never got that.
Oh, that's because like if you have a hammer and it's like your hammer, you know what I mean? But then somebody, you borrow somebody else's hammer and it's like it's a really nice, good hammer, but you're like, no, fuck that, I want my hammer.
So like Thor in Thor 4.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah. He's all about it. Here's that Delato. It's a white background, lots of like dark and gray tones with the red that just pops out. It is
Oh,
a
that's cool looking.
fantastic cover. If you can Google search it, it's just
That is a cool
It's
cover.
his artwork like on 100. It's awesome.
Yeah,
he does
that is a cool one.
fantastic work.
I fucking love MJ swings in at one point to tell the Thing and stuff, and Ben's like, "Now that's a Spider Woman," and Jessica Drew's like, "Ben, I'm standing right here, man. What do you?" I thought that was funny.
Because Ben got an eyeful. I mean, you can tell by this freaking panel that she's not covering anything up. When she's swinging around, like it's just there.
Yeah,
Everything's airing out. I'm
Well,
just letting you know.
she's a supermodel. They've probably already seen stuff like on covers of magazines anyway. I love to when in the previous issue Pete cures Kane and people hear a commotion in the lab, so they're about to go in there and Pete's like, we gotta act quick. So he fucking swaps costumes with Kane and he's like, just play along or whatever. And Kane says, well, where is it? It's like, well, walloping web snappers. And he's like, please stop.
See, and then in this, his belly button's covered up. Like he's just wearing his skimpies. And like there's no belly button there at all. Like it's everything like
It's kind of there. It's like right above the little like squiggly line.
there's no consistency with belly button.
No.
I think it's funny in this that like their explanation for MJ is that she's got a Peter immunity.
Well, that is a thing in Spider-Man Reign, which is a kind of like an alternate storyline. MJ dies, and the whole Spider-Man song, Spider-Man does whatever Spider can. One of the lines is he has radioactive blood. So in Spider-Man Reign, it's established that MJ died from basically radiation poisoning from basically being around Peter, sleeping with him, kissing him, all sorts of stuff. So that is in keeping. In this one, they do a better job of like, no, she developed like almost like an immunity from being around Pete. But yes.
I was hoping we'd get some kind of a web shooter joke. I'm just saying.
Yeah. They refer to it as sharing a toothbrush is what they usually say in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It's one of those new electric toothbrushes.
Don't be gross, Tammy.
I just love them together when they're at the very end of the story before we get into the prologue or the epilogue. I mean, anyway, I just love them sitting on the top and they're talking with each other. It's just a sweet moment.
Yeah.
I agree. I did like seeing them together finally. It felt, natural. On to Amazing Spider-Man 673 Epilogue, The Naked City, the conclusion to the Spider-Verse Island story, the cleanup. Everyone is naked. Carly has had enough, and Peter has one last person to cure. Why did Carly leave? I still don't understand why she left.
Because she lied.
Carly gets cured, is naked, running around the city with her Spider-Man tattoo on her hip, and she decides, you know what? I've had enough, and she goes to leave Peter. But why?
Because she realized he was Spider-Man and he lied this entire time when she was trying to convince him to. Because she was all like, immediately when she had spider powers, she was like, hey, I got spider powers. And he's been lying this entire time.
Yeah.
But he's fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. She sees it as he betrayed her trust. So he lied.
She needs to get the fuck out. You know what?
But she does.
Good riddance. Get that bitch out of here. God damn.
I fucking love when everyone's naked and they're doing cleanup. Hercules is all like, he's like, it reminds me of that time when I was at this place or whatever with everyone being naked. I just thought it was funny.
I'm surprised he changed.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a demigod.
Yeah. I guess he doesn't have technical powers. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Like it didn't affect superheroes that weren't normal. Like it affected Hawkeye.
And T'Challa.
And I get that. Well, T'Challa I kind of don't get.
Yeah, he should technically not be affected.
Right. But like it affected Hercules. And why didn't it affect Tony Stark?
The suit always has, like, they always establish the suit's got, like,
It's got filtration.
Yeah, it's got air filter. It's got all sorts of stuff in it.
Shang-Chi.
That's a good question. I don't know.
My last note was, and we've kind of already touched on it already, and it's not another Humberto joke or anything like that, but Madam Web is a bitch.
Yes.
I love that. Where she's like, oh, and I'm sorry about this. And he's like, oh, yeah, breakups happen, but I'll get it. She's like, oh, no, not that. Something else to come later. And Pete just fucking loses it. He says, really? That's how you use your look into the future powers to mess with me? Really? He's like, you see everything in the future, huh? Well, guess what? 10 seconds from now, I'm going to start mooning you, and I'm going to keep doing it. That's right. I'm going to fill your future with spider butts. How do you like that? I just was like, I mean, we've been getting butts all throughout this, so of course it would be that he'd be mooning her.
Right. I do think he did a great job on the artwork of that, just showing the, him yelling or whatever. I thought that was great. His neck's a little too long, but still.
This isn't, so the epilogue
this isn't Humberto.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. The epilogue and the prologue are not Humberto. It's Stefano Caselli.
Oh, I like this a lot better.
Yeah, no, his art is great. I liked his art.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of the art leading up to this. And anyway, his art's fine.
Yeah, because Mary Jane looks completely different.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. I don't like his Mary Jane as much.
As much as Humberto's.
His Mary Jane is more times than not that great, but Humberto's is also kind of messed up too. Why does she have a normal skirt on now?
Just it's like the next day she changed.
Yeah.
She's still got on the spider shirt.
Does she? Did she put it on?
Yeah.
I thought, okay. Anyway.
Well, I mean, if you had spider powers, would you take off the spider suit for like the next week at
Me?
least? Yeah.
No, it would be vile. It would. I would shower in it. Actually, I take that back. It wouldn't be vile. I would shower in it. I'd eat in it. I'd sleep in it.
All I could think of is when we read Old Man Logan, and you were like that Captain America suit. He does everything in
Yeah,
that.
he jerks
even
off in
beats
it.
off in it.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't be gross, Tammy.
Speaking of being pervy, I love when he's talking with the like construction worker, and he mentions something about like being a perv, and he's like, why does everyone think I'm a perv? Yeah, I feel bad. Of course, it's always a Spider-Man book. Pete saves the day, but he doesn't get any credit. Like it's all Eddie Brock that's getting credit, and I think that's funny. I fucking hate Miles too. Miles Warren. He at the end it's revealed like Jackal got killed at some point in one of the issues, and then it's revealed like no, that wasn't the real Jackal. It was a clone of the Jackal, even though everything is led you to believe that it wasn't. Anyway, it's just like Jesus Christ, I hate the Jackal so much.
Oh, I totally missed that at all the way. Like I totally missed that.
This also, I figured y'all maybe needed some little context of this. Pete, when Carly breaks up with Pete, he goes immediately to the Sanctum and is like, Doctor Strange, get the fuck out here. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So during One More Day, like a retcon, Reed and Doctor Strange prevented a spell to make the entire world to forget that Pete was Spider-Man. But if Pete ever revealed his identity to anyone, that spell would be undone and the whole world would remember. Actually, no, the whole world wouldn't remember. It was that person now will remember that he's Spider-Man. So that's what happens with Carly. Is technically the spell would have prevented her from figuring it out, but because he did that whole thing in front of the camera with Nora Winters about how like, hey, I'm Peter Parker and I've got spider powers and we're New Yorkers and we need to like be superheroes or whatever, that broke the spell. It's just so a way they can like have that whole like MacGuffin of Pete always trying to keep his identity secret like back in the story again is really what it is, just like retconning something. But it's very evocative, or it's kind of where One More Day, what is it, No Way Home kind of got the idea from.
Gotcha.
The last thing I love is just Pete being like, yeah, no one's really giving me credit or whatever, and then MJ's like, Pete, look. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, look. And you see that the Empire State Building is lit up in blue and yellow, which if you catch
blue and red.
Yeah, sorry. I had a stroke. I apologize. Blue and red. If you catch the previous issue, JJ did that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's talking with Robbie from the Daily Bugle. They're having a drink together, and he's like, are you going to let him actually, you going to give him credit for this one? And he's like, are you kidding me? This is all his fault or whatever. And he's like, come on, JJ. He saved Manhattan. And he's like, fine, I'll make some calls. And since he's the mayor, he basically was the one who made it light up. So I was like, oh, JJ did something nice.
Yeah.
And that day, his heart grew 3 times bigger.
But yep, that's it, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Shit, that was long.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, would y'all recommend the story to anybody who's looking to read a Spider-Man story?
I guess it kind of depends as far as, if they're new to Spider-Man, then no. Because I think there's still, even for me, as far as playing the games, there were things obviously I didn't know. But at the same time, I also think like if you've played the games and you know a little bit about Spider-Man, I think it adds a little bit more context and just a little bit more points onto that. So all in all, to say, I think it's a fun read, and if they know a little bit about Spider-Man, I probably would just say it's a decent read. You might want to go check it out.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it because I think it's stupid in a lot of things. Like, I don't think it's the best at it, but I think it's a good job of keeping you kind of like in the know with certain things going on in the story, even though you may not know all this stuff. Though I wouldn't recommend an event book to most people anyway, but like if I had to, I would recommend this. I don't think I would also recommend this be someone's first Spider-Man story, but yeah, I would at least recommend this.
All right. I can't. No, don't read Spider-Man. Read this.
No.
No, I think the art's distracting in this, and I think that it does have some splotchiness that the tie-ins would probably help. It's an okay story. I don't know. I still don't get all the... It didn't help me become more of a Spider-Man fan. It didn't help me become more of like somebody who'd want to read Spider-Man. So
yeah, but you don't like you would like the Scarlet Spider, like the story that comes out with this with Kane, because Spider-Man like Scarlet Spider kills in that. Like you don't like usually like the lawful good type characters. So I don't think you'll ever like a Spider-Man story, to be honest with you.
Maybe. I mean, I'll keep trying. If people want to sit there and, hey, you should read this. Okay. Like if I get a chance, then I'll keep trying. It's kind of like fish. I don't like fish either, but I eat it every now and then just to remind myself that I don't like fish. Eggs as well. Yeah. No, don't like them.
What? All right then.
Cool beans. All right. Well, next week, I think the goal is for us to review Deadpool and Wolverine. So
let's go, bub.
Nice. So be on the lookout for that. And it will be spoilery. Just letting y'all know we can't just sit there and beat around the bush. We can't do that. No, we're going to spoil shit out of it. You've been warned now twice. So in the meantime, Jeremy, where can they find you at?
They can find me on Twitch under the handle Night Fury GTO, and you can find me here.
Nice. Richard, where can they find you at?
If you want to contact me directly, I have an X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, an Instagram, and a Threads. My handle is Night Curry, night like day and night, and Curry with a K. If you want to contact us directly, we have a Gmail. Our Gmail is comicallycomicspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to check us out on YouTube, possibly TikTok, we'll see, and Instagram, you can check us out under the name Comically Comics Podcast. And if you want to check us out on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, you can check us out under the name Comically Comics with an X. I found it this time. I preemptively put my finger on it.
Don't be gross, Tammy.
That's a belly button joke. You can find me on Instagram, eBay, and Shortbox at 22_comics. You can also find me on YouTube at 22comics. Thank y'all so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed as much as we did making it. Well, that being said, say goodbye, Jeremy.
Bye, Jeremy.
Goodbye, Jeremy. Goodbye.
You're in luck. Your favorite tough but lovable, grizzled, seen too much detective is in town.
What? No. You promised you wouldn't do that
Spider Cop.
Please, no.